My father died and left no will. My mother is telling me everything will go to my older brother. I hadn't seen or spoken to my father since 2011. We did not like each other at all. My brother saw him periodically until his death and was generally on good terms with him. My mother and father hadn't been together or in regular contact since the 1990s. I am 29 and my brother is 32. My older brother and I share the same father. We have other siblings, but they all have different fathers. My father lived in and died in Manchester. I currently live in South Wales. My father recently died, and when I spoke to my mother about it, she told me he left no will, and then said something vague about probates and that everything would be going to my brother. My knowledge of the law isn't perfect, but I understood in this situation everything is shared between the children equally. My mother kept insisting that everything would go to the next of kin, which is your brother. She kept emphasizing that I wasn't my father's next of kin, and that in practical terms I wasn't his son. My mother mentioned several assets, including money in the bank, stocks, rare comics, and an extremely expensive sound system. She also mentioned that he owned the house with the bank. I feel that my mother believes I'm not really entitled to anything since I went full no contact with my father in 2011 when I was 16 years old. What are my options here? I'm worried that if I tell my mother that I intend to claim 50% of my inheritance, she will go to my father's house and clear out any valuables. My mother implied to me that with some of the money that my brother will inherit, they will both travel to New Vegas to spread his ashes, as well as just to travel since that is what he wanted to do before dying.
Here are the top comments, plus Opie's reply.
The rules of intestacy apply, and you and your brother will inherit equally. If your father had other wishes, he should have made a will. Start by seeing a solicitor so they know you mean business. The executors have personal liability if they don't distribute the estate as is legally required. Just to double check, they weren't still legally married, were they? Sounds like a silly question, but they wouldn't be the first couple who never got round to legally divorcing.
OP replied,
I'll be sure to contact a solicitor ASAP. My father and mother were never married actually.
The estate is divided equally between all children parented by the deceased unless your father had a partner. Your brother and you are entitled to the same amount, but I'd get a lawyer and photograph everything.
OP replied,
I knew I forgot to mention something. No, my father had no partner. Could you explain what children patented by the deceased means? Thank you for the reply.
Your mother is completely wrong. You will have to see a solicitor, but the intestacy laws will likely split the estate between you and your brother, assuming there are no other relatives.
OP replied,
So far I only know of certain valuables in the house because she told me. If I came to find those items were missing, would I have any recourse without proof?